and welcome to the World Music Podcast, episode 12. Well, you're hearing the tabla of Aminah Chishti playing with the internationally acclaimed qawwali ensemble, Fana Fi Allah. I'm really excited to share my conversation with Aminah. If you're not familiar with qawwali, which is an amazing devotional style of music from Pakistan and North India, this episode will introduce you to this vibrant Sufi musical tradition. Well, Aminah Chishti Qawwal has been a leading force in the art of traditional qawwali tabla. As a student of the great Ustad Dildar Hussain Khan, Aminah was formally initiated by her teacher in 2003. She has really challenged the cultural confines of women in Pakistan and India, not only by performing tabla in an all-male arena, but also by receiving permission to perform at the shrines of Pakistan's greatest Sufi saints, where women have not traditionally been allowed to play. And this is really groundbreaking, and it's ushering in a new bridge between the East and West in a cultural exchange rooted in ancient tradition. Now I want to say a little bit more about the group Fana Fi Allah, of whom Aminah is a founding member. Well, all of the founding members of Fana Fi Allah have spent over 20 years learning qawwali with some of the greatest masters of India and Pakistan. And thus Fana Fi Allah seek to represent the music in its traditional, authentic form. And over the last 18 years, they have built a cultural bridge between East and West, embodying a universal message of tolerance that is crucial to our time. They have offered audiences around the world a unique glimpse into the rich and vibrant culture of qawwali, performing at large international festivals and concerts throughout the USA, Canada, Pakistan, China, Russia, Europe, Morocco, Indonesia, India, and Egypt. Well, now I think it's time to jump right in and let Aminah share more about her path as the first Western woman to carry on the tradition of qawwali. This interview was originally recorded on September 18th, 2021. Enjoy. Welcome, friends. I'm super excited today to have Aminah Chishti as my guest. And it's a real pleasure to have her on the show. Welcome, Aminah.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm curious, to begin, I'm also a Westerner who found myself really immersed in ancient music from South Asia. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you came to be so immersed in the music of Pakistan and India.
Okay, yeah, as foreigners, it's been such a interesting path to be a part of this bridge from the east to the west and vice versa. So this bridge has been built by the masters before us, and in my lineage, the Sufi lineage, Hazrat Inayat Khan was formerly known as the first Sufi in the West. And that was in 1920. Him and his five brothers, the story goes, sailed a ship from India to play a concert in New York, and took them 3 months on the boat to get to New York at that time. And they were Ruger Vina players, so you're familiar with what does that mean. It means some serious tuning before you play. And the story goes, they sat down to tune, and the concert hall filled up. And by the time they finished their tuning, that was about a 45-hour tuning session, the audience clapped and walked out. And that's when Hazrat Inayat Khan renounced music and started tuning souls. And he wanted to spread the message of Sufism and through the means of the music, as well as the philosophy of peace, love, and harmony. And, that bridge is very, very potent for me, because I found in my life that cultural exchange has only expanded my horizons into a richer life experience. And without me being able to experience these other cultures and ways of life, I would definitely be on a different path than I am now. And you know, these cultural exchange is a big experience for us in humanity. And I think that's really what touched me deeply on this path. And then the music became a part of that. And of course, you know, you're, as a young outsider musician, you're looking for the best place to accomplish some disciplined lifestyle. And, you know, of course, I made it to Varanasi. And that place holds such a sacred, strong container to develop a devotional sense of what it means to really, I wouldn't say master this music, but I would say even what it means to swim within this music, to understand, to have not only a feeling, but an understanding of the music so you can connect with it. And, you know, I had feeling behind it. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. What is this sitar? And what is this feeling I'm getting from experiencing this classical music? And, you know, it was very, you know, I didn't understand why I was feeling attracted to this. And so through the study and through the experience of diving into the practices and the actual, you know, day-to-day experience of living inside the culture, that's where I received so much ability and strength to do that, is through so it's been such an encouraging path, and I really felt like, you know, the feeling was coming, but the studying was the part that really locked me into feeling like this was a holistic experience for me.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. I know that Hazrat Inayat Khan came for that concert, but I didn't know that part you shared about the tuning. And I know that he renounced being a musician to be a kind of spiritual teacher, and that's really cool. That is a beautiful story. You know, it's got so much. It says so much in that happening.
Yeah, it says so much, you know. And here we are, you know, 100 years later,
Yeah.
you know, and it's quite, you know, you see the importance behind that bridge in these times now, and the abilities that we had as foreigners to really research and go to these places, not being born in a lineage, not being, you know, we were drawn in such, I was drawn in such a way that it was not, I was not able to deny the call to further my studies and give it everything I had to be able to. It just felt like at that time there was a place for me to put that kind of devotion into a specific path that was very rich in its ways. So I'm very thankful for that bridge, and I wonder about it these days, and how are we going to be those gatekeepers for that bridge to be accessible for us as Americans, and as well as for the Far East, to be able to receive students like us has been a huge peacemaking experience for them to really see Americans for a different aspect than they may have in their mind of us, so, and vice versa.
Yeah, Let's keep the bridges open.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
well, for our listeners who may not be familiar, I was wondering if you could share, what is qawwali and how is it unique from the sister styles of Hindustani classical, kirtan, and the other folk styles from this part of the world?
Oh, I love that question. Yes, it's so interesting to me. Yeah, qawwali means in its translated form, it actually means one who wails.
Hmm.
And in qawwali, we have certain style that's actually the rebel style of all of this genre. You have Hindustani classical music, but this is a very big genre of different styles inside.
Right.
We have so many ghazal, geet, khayal, chota classical, badi classical. We have, Carnatic. We have so many different styles inside bhajan, kirtans, qawwali, So this was the love between the Muslims and the Hindus that created qawwali music. It was those Persian people that came in 1,000 years ago to India and were conquering India. And, it's the great Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti who actually, instead of forcing people to adapt their Muslim ways, he adapted the ways of the local people, which were the Hindus, and he started the Sama inside the Sufi tradition because he saw that, the Hindus were making music in a devotional way, and it was very a beautiful sense happening. So he adapted that and created the Sama inside the Sufi music, and also served vegetarian food only because he knew he was in a place that was, this is the way the people are. Why spend all this time trying to change people? Why not just accept them who they are? And then we can start sharing and evolving from that point. So that's why I'm so honored to be initiated in the Chishti lineage, because that's the message of the Chistis, is that there's a marriage of union, of love in our separations. And we look for that, and we, develop that, and we become that because that's our way. So, this was qawwali music, was that union between those two cultures. And within the music, you also have later, about 300 years after that, Amir Khusro, he came and he created the sitar and the tabla, and he actually is responsible for creating what we now call qawwali music. And that is, I like what my Ustad said. He said, qawwali is like a bouquet of flowers, wild flowers. So you have, Hindustani classical, you have ghazal, you have drupad, you have khayal. You take all this beautiful, beautiful pieces from these different genres that all have that same tree, and you utilize that. And as you know, in Hindustani classical music, it's one rag for life. And and qawwali music, we have to be able to know these families of ragas and know these families that match and meet, because we mix our raga and we create that mix and that spontaneity and improvisation from the skill. And what that creates is this 1,000-year-old song to become revivified. So you're able to bend the rules in a beautiful way with your intention to actually create, these bridges through that culture and that continent. And we have, Urdu, we have Punjabi, we have Hindi, we have Saraiki, we have Persian, we have all these different languages as well inside the qawwali music. This is this is Sufi music. Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful topics there. I love what you shared about how the Sama started and how this idea of let's not force an ideal upon people. Let's meet them, and then we have an opening where we can share. And I think that's the heart of these musical traditions, that's why they're still here like 1,000 years later, is because they were given that chance to expand and flourish. And it's just such a powerful statement and message there. So much has become of that simple intention that's so powerful, and it's very effective for any type of influence too. Or even if you think of it politically or in that way, I also think of Tonson when you mentioned that. And he wasn't really trying to impose some strict idea of religion. He was very open-minded and a patron of music and the arts. And I love just sharing this message with listeners and people that, this time and this idea of openness and taking the best from the cultures that we come into contact with it's like how humanity grows.
It's how we can grow as people, and that's the beautiful thing of life, watching people grow.
Mm,
That's my favorite thing, is
mm,
growth. And it's funny you mentioned Tanzan, because I gave a workshop the other day, and I've been offering more online action because this is our medium now in a big way.
mm-hmm.
And my theme for our workshop was actually Tanzan. When he was asked, oh, I heard your teacher's amazing. I heard he sings like a bird. I can't wait to hear some of his compositions. And, very in awe of Tanzan's lineage and his teacher. And he replied, if my teacher, you can't wait to hear his music, that's so honorable to hear. Thank you. But to call my teacher a musician would be inadequate. We would actually have to say he is music himself.
Wow.
And that's the idea, behind a practice, is to become embodied in this idea, so as a practitioner, we start to become, you see the embodiment of music within your life. I love it, and anything we are going to do is our practice. So it's important we choose something that's very beneficial for the whole. And whatever we will be doing is a practice. This is life to, practice the perfection. And I love that music has that ability to bring people together of all walks of life, of all faith, of all ideas, and create this place where maybe for 1 second there's that we're all there. It's all one. I'm just listening, playing. There's a feeling there of unity, and it's like there's so much that goes into a program. Setup, traveling, time, sound checks, and getting ready, and everybody's little place that they hold to create that moment to exist.
Yeah.
And I think right now we're in a point where we have that choice to expand that moment into a life, and or not. And I choose that because I think there's a real opportunity here for us in this time to create our reality, co-create that reality. And I'm really looking forward to taking those moments that we work so hard to create and know they exist, and be able to expand those into our life. As a performer, there's so much loss right now. You're like, oh, I don't know. when you, you know, there's no answer to that for this time, you know, and that makes it, you know, be a place of new experience. And I choose to, you know, really take those moments and expand them and live my life in unity consciousness, you know. So music has been the path for me to get to that place.
Wow, that's very powerful. Just a concept and intention to take that kind of magic and expansive state that we experience in the music and see that as a place that can come into all parts of our life. That's a very powerful message. I think that's something a lot of us musicians can remember right now and integrate. Just I've been missing that energy, that time, and it's been a little challenging. And so this really helps us remember that moment is all moments, if we can see it that way and bring
and
that.
choose that, you know. We have a power of choice, you know, so we can choose that. And you know, even one conscious breath, that's our ability to tap into that same thread that creates all of us together and all of us in a place to experience unity. We might be alone in that breath, but when we put consciousness to it, it creates it to become, you know, those kind of moments where, you know, you look at a tree in these times and they're not concerned about if they are on quarantine or not, you know. And this is the image of the nature where we need to gather our strength right now, as nature and music, you know, is a place to really gather strength of transparency, being transparent and transparency. I like that, but being transparent and actually tapping into these greater sources of wisdom beyond our level of survival and what that takes. So
Wow. Beautiful. So both Qawwali and Hindustani traditions share this deep bond between the teacher and the student, the guru-shishya relationship. It's a very sacred part of the music, and I just would like to give you space to share about your teachers.
Shukriya. Yeah, thank you. Wow, Ustad Dildar Hussain Khan. Oh, wow, yeah. What a lineage holder in his own right, and what he's seen throughout his time of experiencing this musical family and genre and path is so prolific. He's such a character of simplicity. It's outstanding. You would think a master would have to be very sophisticated and very detail oriented, or I don't know what you would think, but all my ideas of who he should be, you know, rarely fell away, and I got to really experience who he really is, you know. And that was a beautiful thing of being a student that you don't get very much, because you put your teacher like up.
Yeah.
You're on your teacher's feet. So therefore, if you do look up there, you know, you look up and they're immediately put there because that's their spot. But at the same time, I needed to be able to see him for truly a person. And that was I have never met a beautiful person like that. So much feeling in his participation of meeting people, and so much feeling and humility in him, watching him, you know, play music with people would never touch that place, even me. You know, we've been able to, he accepted me as a student, and I was like, okay, let's do work, got some work to do. And I was very able and capable to receive his teachings because they were so clear and so perfect for me. And it's outstanding that, yeah, he didn't keep a book of every lesson we did, but if it had been months, if it had been a couple days, I go back to Ustadji, I'm ready for sit down and some chai. And he would literally start the lesson from my last lesson. And I wouldn't remember what that was until he would start the lesson. And I would be very amazed that he could leave off where we stopped. Wow. Maybe a year ago, maybe a few months ago, maybe a day ago, but it was always like that. Wow. And I'm still fascinated by his ability to share, and he's such a giving person in his music and his abilities, and so honored to be able to be with Piddu Khan, you know, and Piddu Khan is his known name when he was touring with Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. And that time, you know, you look back in life and you say, oh, there'll never be times like that. You know, that was really cool times. And, you know, that's what they had too. And they had some amazing times to be able to spread the message like that. And Ustadji being like a village man, you know, he grew up as a qawwal, you know, in this lifestyle, truly, you know. And if you know about qawwali music, you would know that, like, traditionally things have changed from the original. What does that mean? Tradition. They've evolved, they changed, they've grown, which is a natural place. But Ustadji was there in that real life of a qawwal, you know. And what does that mean? It means you're born into it. You don't have a decision. This is who you are, and this is what you will do. And in my respects, it's like, wow, I wish I had that in my life. I wish I had someone telling me exactly what to do and pushing me to do it no matter what. But in that respects, when you're in that place, you know, it's very hard to not rebel from what you're being told, who you are and what to do. So that's why we look at these lineage people that actually are blood lineage holders and are in awe, because how did you just be able to step into that role? Because their culture, because of the way that they are subject to be and believe. And this is, like you said, it stands the test of time because it's allowed for growth. So this is, you know, you go back to that original, I could talk about Ustadji forever, so just interrupt me anytime. But that original source of what it means to be a qawwal, and you don't really have that choice, you know. And if you accept that, you can become very masterful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, he was beautiful to watch. And, you know, qawwals basically are born into their spiritual teacher's lineage to actually just play qawwali for them their whole life. And they don't go out of that particular Sufi shrine. They stay. So they play there only. And this is a traditional qawwal. So, you know, what you've experienced in Ustadji's time is just fascinating, that he has gone from that real original space and he's grown and expanded in so many ways, carrying that.
Yeah.
Through Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. And yeah, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, you know, he's a Guinness Book World Record holder for the most recorded and released music in a lifetime, you know. And Nusrat was actually the ocean of sound. He was, you know, endless with his ability to play within that ocean. And this is, I get goosebumps just feeling that, like what a life and what an embodiment of experience. Yeah. He gave everything he had to share the message of peace, love, and tolerance. This is through the music as the medium.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow. These masters.
It's like a warrior path. It's a warrior path, the qawwali. Classical is nice because you just get it's almost for myself when I practice classical, I get to really enjoy. And the sounds and the 16 beats and the cycles are longer and it's just open more. There's more there. And I just really get to enjoy and like go deeper into the raga and into the beats and be like, oh, I feel just nourished in classical music, like it's our source of nourishment to be able to go to these pumping styles of delivery of music. And I really love the old traditional qawwali classicals, where we do have qawwalis in 16, and it's still very pumping even though we're playing the classical.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, I want to ask, bring up something that's, you being a female tabla player from the West in the qawwali lineage is very powerful for you as an individual, for your teachers, and for the overall tradition at large. And, how does it feel to embody this concept or this new possibility?
Well, I was actually, wow, personally, it's been a huge healing for me, personally. And, as a child of America, I don't know, thank God I had an adopted father by the time I was 7, so I was saved in that respect for having my father figure there for me. But I had to do a lot of healing on that road of my father. And I really look back and I believe like this has really given me that place to do that. I thought, oh, you have to do it with your personal dad or your personal mom or this, or no, it's there for you if you just want that and that's your intention. And it came through this men's lineage for me. And I was so healed through being able to participate and be supported and be encouraged to be an ambassador for their music because, Sufi music is that. It's beyond borders. It's beyond this identity. So therefore, you're allowed to slip through that crack right there because it represents actually what we're singing about.
Mm-hmm.
And Ustad always said, you're not a woman or a man in this place. You are an artist. You are beyond this identity when you play Sufi music, when you play music, when you listen to music, when this is the gift of the music is it creates that unity space, which is beyond identity. And, to be such a master in that lineage and really believe in that just really shows like, wow, that music really had purpose in it. It really was purposeful. And they weren't just trying to sing these songs that meant like everyone get together. It was really this activation of it. And that's who I represent. That's what Aminah Chishti represents.
Wow.
And,
that's so beautiful how it, for you as an individual, had this kind of potent healing avenue. And then also in the tradition at large, it also was a natural expression of what that message is. And it's like coming through you and happening for you individually and in the context of a tradition, and that tradition reaching more parts of the world. So it's a very powerful experience, and it's really amazing.
And that's where, artistry comes in very beautiful path because there's something in it where you want it for the individual, but you want it for the community as well. And that's like what happened to me, and I am offering that because it's not only as the musician makes hundreds of people enjoy an evening, but they need as well that enjoyment, and that creates it to be a healing experience, is when the artist is actually really able to enjoy on these levels. And there's not always that. It takes hard work to get there,
Yeah.
So, that's, I remember playing many shows with Ustad, and, one time he leans over after the show, he said, "Oh, that one was fun." And I remember being like, wow, now I know what fun means. There's that barometer for me. And like, yeah, it's about that. Sometimes, the people enjoyed. Alhamdulillah,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, just kind of off of that concept of all this hard work that we put into this music to be able to express it, I'm wondering if you could kind of describe your training in terms of stages, maybe in like 10-year periods, and what were the focuses of your talim, your training in each of those periods?
Good one, Will. Yes, the first 10 years, no performing as an artist. It was not part of it. It wasn't until those first 10 years was blood, sweat, and tears type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also coming from an outsider position, I had to really do that, lock into, what does this sound like? What does this feel like? What is Rag Bageshwari? What does this mean? What is this timing? What is all of this stuff I had no concept of. And, so that first 10 years was very about me. Do you really want this? Are you really going to do 5 hours today? I don't know. It's like, okay, I am this. I'm doing this, So once that decision was made, which was pretty quick, and I love that my first guru I had in Varanasi, he said, tabla, you learn everything. You learn tabla, and I didn't really understand. You can play any instrument if you learn tabla. Oh, that sounds very inviting. But it's true, after you learn it, you realize, oh, that's what he meant, is there's melody inside of these percussive instruments. So within composition, you have rhythm, you have melody. So therefore, you're learning tabla, you're learning both. And this is beautiful path. That's a beautiful thing with tabla. As you know as well as sitar, you would have to know how to count tinsel to be able to play sitar. So yeah, at least. So there's that beautiful aspect of Hindustani classical music that adds those two to create a holistic music.
Yep.
And so that caught me right away. I was like, oh, I'm there. So yeah, I would say that first, 10 years really took a lot of me just hiding and doing it. And then there became that level where Ustad would push me into that performance seat, And in Pakistan, that's how they learn qawwali as children, is they're pushed into the performance seat and they have to play for everybody, or they have to sing it for everybody. And the aunties and uncles are there waiting for the kid to get to that point to even do it. So they're like, they're working to it at 3 or 4 or 5 years old. They're already doing it. So this is that teaching is so important. Like for us as Americans, we do not get. Yep. And that's that part of pushing each other, encouraging each other, and giving support, not competition. This is something we need to reprogram ourselves as this is a pushing, supportive energy. Kya baat hai, wajiwa. This means like, wow, we're really, keep going, keep enjoying. You have to have this supportive energy in this music, because that's what it is. It creates us to share in that way. And so that was a big teaching in my second decade of learning, was like getting pushed into that spot, the fire pit. How can you hold it? How can you really hold it in that spot or not? Wow. So, that began my actual ability to tour like I did in times like, well, not in times, but 2018, 19, that was some big touring there. That was 100 shows a year and stuff. So, how do you get to that place is like, really through your teacher being able to help you, come into that place, and other students of the path. I have so many Ustad Bhais that have helped me get into that space too. And that's why I want to create that online communities where we're able to connect with other students on this path and create that space of inspiration and upliftment, encouragement, and that's what we need more as foreigners in our life. And I'm really starting to see that more and more clearly, how we can bring that together in these times, and be able to just swim together and receive the nourishment of what is the next level. Like you said, it took student discipleship for a good solid chunk. Then it came into my teacher actually pushing me into these places, and then it came to the group where we were able and strong enough to able to really produce the sound we had been trying to for so long.
Yeah.
And oh wow, I never thought it sounded okay. You are your worst critic for a reason. It's a great thing, and so you have to really be that in these places and allow yourself to really challenge yourself and critique, and that makes those moments that do sound okay, like, wow, okay, you give yourself a pat on the back for those feelings, because it makes it feel even more valuable.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm curious, what are you most inspired by in your riyaz, like nowadays when you sit down?
I've been really, it's been changing since COVID a lot.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm just starting to get this feeling of inspiration again for my isolation riyaz, where it's just by myself and no one's listening. But, in the beginning of COVID, it was very hard for me to do that. And it was very hard to feel like, I just want to practice on my own, like I always did. And so I was, going live a lot and creating these online mediums for my rayas, and that really helped a lot to be able to play for actual people or just have that energy live, like going live. 45 minutes went by. Oh my gosh, I should press off, no, what am I doing? I just played for them, Of course, people loved it, but, it's like, that energy, just people listening to me gave me, I don't know, was 45 minutes. And yeah. And nowadays I'm coming back into feeling like just doing it on my own again, and playing for my students regularly, just being able to have them grow and listen and be able to sit here and play. It's like, this is so fun and nourishing for me. And I just hope it is in other people's respects. And, it's like I talk a lot about the spirituality behind the music, because that's what really affected me personally in this journey. And, everyone is needing their own needs in different ways. So, this is also resonant for who needs to resonate in that way, and is on that path of sound enlightenment, and word, sound, and power. This is a thing we should meditate on in humanity as people. I really feel like if we all learned a little about music, everybody included, we would be on a different level of existence with each other. And I strongly believe that. So I continue to practice on my own, and I continue to practice for the sake of humanity.
Wow.
So that's been my main inspirations lately. I've been doing a lot of like service work for that too, like just calling my Facebook friends or Instagram friends that live in India or Pakistan, and there I am, and they're it's such a personal experience to play for someone via the WhatsApp or Zoom or something, and just call and be in their living room. So that's been a real encouraging, fun thing for me to do too, on this time that I just been like, oh, that's really fun. And they called the whole family in, and all of that. So that's a way for me to not only give back, but also feel like my cup is getting filled as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you've mentioned some online workshops and classes, and I'm wondering for our listeners who would like to connect with you, what's the best way for them to find access to your classes and studying with you?
Yeah, and I'm so blessed to say that your partner has really encouraged and supported me in this path of being able to answer your question so easily and just say AminahChishti.com.
There you go. AminahChishti.com, everyone. Wow.
And I did take the Aminah, is many pronunciations of this name throughout the world, many spellings. And it's all from the root word. And Aminah is actually the name of our prophet, peace be upon him, his mother.
Ah.
So Aminah is the mother figure. Also, Aminah is meaning trustworthy, which is very reliable tabla player. Resonated very well.
Holding down the groove.
Yeah. So I ended up taking the Arabic version of Aminah, which is the Aminah with the H at the end. And Chishti is a really powerful name too. Like we were tapping into Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti, it's Chishti, Chishti. This is the Sufi lineage of the ones that are given permission to play music. And we have different paths of Sufism, and these different styles of Sufis practice in different ways. So Chistis are the ones that practice with music. This is our lineage style. And we have like Naqshbandis, these are Naqshbandis practice with the zikr only. They don't practice with the music. Zikr is an a cappella, remember, la ilaha illallah. In many different ways they do it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So these are, that's why I am a Chishti, is because I'm a practitioner of the music and path, spiritual path, So
Beautiful. So it would be Aminah? Would that be?
It is Aminah, and my Ustad in Punjabi says Amna. So we leave out the or the So we just simplify a lot in Punjabi, which is really nice. And
has different dialect versions.
Aminah, Amna, Amna, Amina. These are all variations of the same name.
Well, Aminah, this has just been such a fun conversation. I feel like, we could keep going, and but I think this is a great chunk for our listeners to just experience. And I love how much you've shared about this tradition, about your experience learning, about just these overall concepts of what being a musician is and how we can stay connected to our music practice in the times of COVID if we are musicians. And it's just been such a great chat.
Thank you. I'm going to leave you with a little tea high.
The proper way to end. I love it.
dog in the 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 get not to get dog to get dog dog get not to get dog to get dog get not to get dog to get dog.
क्या बात है. क्या बात है. We ended with a T-high, folks. This is amazing.
Thank you, brother. It's so inspiring to share my story. And thank you, everyone out there, for being encouraged to dive deeper into this philosophy and know that it's a very medicinal experience for us to become musical practitioners. I really honor everyone in the life to step forward towards receiving such a bounty and a blessing in life and open our ability to this consciousness of the transparency of unity through music. I'm so thankful, and thank you for creating this stream and medium for people to discuss these beautiful experiences we've had that touched us in so many ways. And I saw you had Daniel Paul on your talk as well. I want to listen to that one too. But Daniel Paul was such a inspiration for me too. It's like he was one of the first foreigners to actually live with a master and make the master chai. This is something to do.
I know. I got to interview kind of these, like, I call them like the founding fathers of Westerners who did that. Steve Gorn, Jayutal, Daniel Paul. And like, so amazing that we pay our pranam to these guys who started this whole bridge and this whole wave. And yeah, just what you said. And that interview, Daniel shares some great stories. And yeah, so that's the whole point of this show, is to just share this nourishing wisdom and message with the world.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for you, Will, and I look forward to playing some more music with you.
Well, thank you so much for joining on yet another episode of the World Music Podcast. Just a reminder to like and subscribe to us here so you're notified when the next episode comes out. And today I want to invite you, if you're really enjoying these episodes, to share them with someone who you think would equally enjoy them. I know that there are many out there who are looking for this type of material and conversations about life and music. And for you just taking a moment to share that with them, it would really help us spread the word and inspire more people. So I'll create a very easy way to do that in the description here. There will be a link that says share, and you can email or text that to a friend. It will take them to a page where they can choose which platform they like to listen to podcasts on, whether it's Spotify or Apple Music or others. And just taking a simple moment to share this episode goes a long way. So once again, thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.